All right, for this video, we're gonna basically find ordered pairs for any special angles in the unit circle. I know in class we went over all the angle measures for all four quadrants, and they always correspond to either a 30, 60, 90 triangle or a 45, 45, 90 triangle. Now we're going to kind of come up with kind of more of a plan, more of a procedure of getting these ordered pairs without always referring to the unit circle. Okay, you're going to hear me say this countless number of times. Do not memorize all 16 angles in the unit circle. Okay, that's not how you learn, is by memorizing. The only thing you really have to know is what I have up here. This right here, the first quadrant, if you know 30, 45, and 60, if you know those ordered pairs, they apply to all the other ones in the second, third, and fourth quadrant. So that's the only thing you have to know. The 3 steps right there you can take down. Now this is if you have any angle measure. The first thing you want to do is the angle measure that you're given, you want to figure out which quadrant it's in. Okay, and it's going to be easy if it's in between 0 and 360 or 0 and 2 pi. You can write this down also. If you have an angle measure that's not in between 0 and 360 and it's not in between 0 and 2 pi radians, then you want to find a coterminal angle, so then you have an angle that's in between 0 and 360 or 0 and 2 pi. Because if it's in between those, then you know which quadrant it's in. Okay, second thing, very, very important, find the reference angle. We've done this a lot. We've talked about this a lot. Because basically, steps 2 and 3, you can combine these. You can see I have the words reference and refer. When you find a reference angle, it refers to the first quadrant ordered pair. And most cases, it's going to refer to either the 30, the 45, or the 60. So most of these ordered pairs, they're going to be your answers. It just depends which quadrant it's in, depending on whether you get X to be positive or negative or Y to be positive or negative. So we're going to follow these 3 steps, and you're going to see I'm going to kind of go up and down on this. I'm always going to refer to this first quadrant right here, because that's really going to give us the answers. All right, let's look at number 1. You're going to see I'm not going to draw any other unit circle. I'm just going to refer to the first quadrant. All right, let's follow the steps here. 135 degrees, if I want to find the ordered pair for that. Well, let's see here. If I do step 1, the quadrant it's in, well, this is in the second quadrant. Okay, it's pretty easy to tell. So in the second quadrant, X is negative and Y is positive. Okay, so I'll do this check mark. I determined the quadrant, so I know X is negative, Y is positive. Now, if I find the reference angle, since that is in the second quadrant, I subtract 90 from it. So if I subtract 90 from 35, the reference angle is 45 degrees. Put a little check mark. So if I refer to this, if the reference angle is 45, I refer to this, it's going to be the root 2 over 2's. So I know it's going to be the root 2 over 2's. Let's put root 2 over 2, root 2 over 2. But when I refer to this, the X is negative, so just put a little negative there. So that's it. I didn't go on my unit circle sheet and looked over 135 degrees. You're not going to have the unit circle sheet when you do these on the quiz. So you really have to know this 3-step process and refer everything back to 30, 45, or 60. All right, number 2, we're in radians. So 4 pi over 3, there's the trick. This is the numerator is 1 more, so this is in the third quadrant. In the third quadrant, both X and Y are negative, so put negatives for both, just to remind myself. And then the good thing about the radians, since it's 4 pi over 3, it's going to refer back to pi over 3. You keep like the same denominator, so 4 pi over 3. This refers to this, pi over 3. So this is going to be my answer, 1/2 root 3 over 2, except I'm going to make them both negative. So I'll put pi over 3, that's the reference angle. So my answer is negative 1/2, negative root 3 over 2. Okay, number 3, let's see here, 330 degrees. This is in the fourth quadrant. In the fourth quadrant, let's see here, X is positive, but Y is negative. If it's in the fourth quadrant, if I find the reference angle, I have to do 360 minus 330. So my reference angle is 30 degrees. So my reference angle is 30 degrees. I refer to this. It's going to be the root 3 over 2, 1/2. But I'm just going to make this the Y value negative because this is in the fourth quadrant. So there's my answer there. Positive root 3 over 2, negative 1/2. Okay, again, not using the cheat sheet. Don't use the cheat sheet. All right, let's move on. Okay, number 4, kind of a special case. Number 4, there really is no reference angle to it. Pi is the same as 180 degrees. Actually, 4 and 5. Some of these problems will mix in intercepts. So if it's intercepts, there really should be no thinking. Pi, pi, if you graphed, is all the way over here, and that's negative 1, 0. So it's this, you just go to the answer. You don't even have to follow the 3 steps. 3 pi over 2, well, that's all the way down. That's the same as 270 degrees. That's here, this point. So here it's 0, negative 1. So these you should get right away. Okay, number 6, 7 pi over 6. Now you can see kind of the benefits of radian measures. It's a lot easier to get the ordered pairs because the bottom number gives it away. This is going to refer to pi over 6. Okay, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. Forgot quadrant. Top number is bigger than it by 1, so this is the third quadrant. So I know my x and my y values are negative. And as I alluded to, this is, the bottom number is 6. So this is going to refer back to, hope you don't get dizzy, this is going to refer back to pi over 6. So let's see here. My answer is going to be root 3 over 2, 1/2. Since in the third quadrant, both of these are going to be negative. So it's going to be negative root 3 over 2, negative 1/2. Let's do it. Negative root 3 over 2, negative 1/2. All right. So these first 6, they were a little bit easier because they were always within 1 revolution. It was between 0 and 360 degrees or 0 and 2 pi. Now you can see for the next 6, you're going to be given angles that are either more than 1 revolution or they're negative angles. So you want to get it to be a positive angle between 0 and 360 degrees or 0 and 2 pi if you're in radians. Okay, let's look at number 1. Number 1, let's see here, 8 pi over 3. Well, that's more than 2 pi because 6 pi over 3 would be 2 pi. So we have to get a coterminal angle. So we're going to subtract, since it's more than 1 revolution, we're going to subtract 2 pi, which is the same as 6 pi over 3. If you subtract 6 pi over 3, you get 2 pi over 3. All right, now I'm good to go. This is within 1 revolution. Since the bottom number is 1 less, that pattern tells us we're in the second quadrant. Second quadrant, x is negative, y is positive. Okay, I used a little trick there. The bottom number here is 3. So this is going to refer back to pi over 3. So if we go back to pi over 3 right here, all right, go back to pi over 3. It's going to be this, 1/2 root 3 over 2. So 1/2 root 3 over 2, but we're going to make the x negative. So it's negative 1/2 positive root 3 over 2. Please don't switch up the 30 and the 60 degrees. That's a mistake, a common mistake that a lot of students will make. They'll take a quiz and they'll switch all the 30 and the 60s up. I have no problem with you drawing out that first quadrant and making sure that that's correct. But anything after that, second, third, fourth quadrant, that you just got to follow these 3 steps. All right, number 2, we have a negative angle measure. I want to make that positive. So I'm going to add 360 to it since it's in degrees. See here, if I add 360 to this, I get 225 degrees. That's very easy to tell. That's in the third quadrant. So both x and y are going to be negative. Then if I find the reference angle, I'm going to take this 225 degrees. Since it's in the third quadrant, I subtract 180 from it. And that's 45 degrees. I always think 45 is the easier case. You can't get that mixed up with 30 and 60. Those are the root 2 over 2s. So it's just negative root 2 over 2, negative root 2 over 2. Okay, that's our answer right there. Okay, let's do one more. Let's do number 3. We got negative 17 pi over 6. It's in radians. I want to make it positive. I'm going to add 2 pi to it. So that's the same as 12 pi over 6. I add that to it, and I have negative 5 pi over 6. Well, I still want to make it positive, so that means I have to add another 2 pi to it, which is 12 pi over 6. So if I add that, that gives me 7 pi over 6. And you can see it's going to be the same answer right here, 7 pi over 6. So I'll just skip right to the answer. We're going to have negatives. It refers to pi over 6, which is root 3 over 2, 1/2. So it's negative root 3 over 2. and negative 1/2. All right, so all your answers, you're either going to have root 2 over 2's in it, or you're going to have 1/2 and root 3 over 2, and then maybe the order will be switched depending on if the reference angle is 30 or 60 degrees. Or it could be the case where you're given an angle measure that's on an intercept, an X or Y intercept. In that case, you're going to have a 0 in it somewhere and either a positive or negative 1. Okay, so if you just know the first quadrant and you can find the quadrant that the angle's in and the reference angle, you're good to go.